All righty. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody, and welcome to another absolutely fantastic MinecraftEdu After Chat. For those of you who are brand new here, this is a place where we spend about a half an hour talking with our guest hosts of the evening after the MinecraftEdu Twitter chat. So the MinecraftEdu Twitter chat happens on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. over on Twitter using the After Chat. For those of you who are this is a place where we spend about a half an hour talking with our guest hosts after the MinecraftEdu Twitter chat. So the MinecraftEdu Twitter chat happens on Tuesday evening. Yeah, there we go. Somebody had the YouTube video playing in the background, but that's okay. I did as well. So anyway, so the MinecraftEdu Twitter chat is a place where we come together with educators around the world, and we talk about a variety of topics in Minecraft and education, or based around Minecraft and education. It's a method for supporting our peers, colleagues, collaborators in the education community. So tonight, we are joined by a fantastic guest panel, Bronwyn, Stuckey, and Mark Suter, and I'm also joined by my good friend Mark Grundell, and they will be introducing themselves in a quick moment. A couple of things that I want to cover, first of all, is the topic of this chat. So tonight, we were talking about gaming and competitive esports, or competitive gaming and esports in education, and how we can use Minecraft and how it facilitates and functions student growth and development. So I'm going to go ahead and pass things over to Mark Grundell, our co-founder of the MinecraftEdu chat. He's going to introduce himself, and then we'll go right to Bronwyn and Mark to get them to introduce themselves.
So welcome. Thank you for joining us. Mark Grundell, 5th grade teacher and Minecraft enthusiast. I really enjoyed this chat because this is something that I did not have a lot of background in. So this was a lot of new for me, and I really discovered a lot of great uses of Minecraft and how it can be used as a competitive sport, and learned about a lot of great mini games tonight. So really exciting. I'll turn it over to Mark Garlic Suter.
All right. My name is Mark Suter. I'm a high school computer science teacher. I teach game design. I'm in Ohio in the States. And I like this topic, too, because we're just getting our esports club started. It's an after-school club. We're getting League of Legends installed, and some of the kids are bringing in their own computers and doing that kind of stuff. But we're looking for some other games, and Minecraft is one of the ones we're looking at to really cater to not just those killer gamer types, but also the ones that like to create and explore and have different types of kids involved, too. So really exciting. Bron, you're the one everybody wants to hear from. Let you talk.
No, that's just the funny accent. I'm Bronwyn Stuckey in Sydney, Australia, and I'm on the Esports for Education committee group that's forming with these guys. And I'm really interested in esports, although I took a long time being convinced that competitive gaming could be a sport, and that's a great juicy conversation to be had. But my interest is in how we can leverage competition to build better people. So how we can use that competitive gaming to let kids find their tribe, to let them learn about teamwork, collaboration, sportsmanship, mentoring, coaching, all the things that surround, all the good things that surround a sport. And I think I've been convinced that there's a lot we can be doing there. And so that building of identity and community and digital citizenship is what I really like. And I think thinking about Minecraft, we can start much earlier than a lot of the other league competitions do by thinking about Minecraft in the elementary school and how we can introduce competitive gaming and healthy norms at the same time. So that's the thing I'm really excited by. So I'm handing back.
Awesome. Well, that's such a brilliant point. I think it's definitely impactful. One of the biggest challenges that we see in esports and gaming, competitive gaming, is everything right now is so focused around the PvP, the combat battling. And this just doesn't fit well into an education system in the elementary levels. So I think with Minecraft, and we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes in one of the questions, but I think it definitely supports that environment. So Mark, you are deeply involved, Mark Suter, you're deeply involved right now in competitive gaming with your classroom and trying to get your students into this in environment of competitive gaming and esports. So tell us, in answer to the first question, what is esports? What does it mean? What's it kind of entail? And why should we compare it or consider it a sport? And I'm sure that Bron will want to feed in on this one as well.
Well, it's funny because I actually wanted to follow up on what Bron said. She's talking about esports to make better people, and I've been recently trying to develop a high trust classroom. In fact, there's a book by that title I've been reading, which is really big. And when you talk about making kids better people, I feel like that happens when there is trust and when they can let their guard down in an environment that they are comfortable with. And so if that's Minecraft or if that's League of Legends, it doesn't really matter. That inclusive environment where, yeah, they can let down all of their facade, let the walls down, and then you can really start developing those young leaders into, really good people. Anyways, your question was about, what is esports? So yeah, I know that was one of the Twitter questions. And to me, and I've asked my students this, and they really said, if you're competing against other people and you're keeping score, then it is a sport, and the E is just the electronic version of that. But as far as comparing it to your everyday sports, there is definitely some sort of a stigma attached to it between the haves and the have-nots, right? Your big jock type people, they're cliques, and they're like, well, you can't play a sport, so that's why you're playing video games. But that's not an end all, of course. There's a lot of people that do both. But it is a challenge in my school. We graduate about 200 kids a year. It is a challenge to destigmatize that it really could be a sport. It could be a competition. It could be something that is an organized league of schools versus schools with tournaments and championships and that sort of thing. So,
I just want to weigh in and say, if we looked at MMA 20 years ago, I'm sure there were plenty of people arguing that that's not a sport, right? And now it's taken over, and of course it's much more of a physical activity. But I wouldn't be surprised if 20 years down the road, people were having the same conversation about competitive esports as well.
So,
right.
Bron, before we jump in and introduce, we'll finish this train of thought, and then we want to introduce our other two fantastic guests. But
Yes.
Bron, I'd like your kind of feedback very quickly so that we can tie this point down a little bit on why do you think? So you were saying that you've battled with this idea of, you've had to be convinced that it was a competitive sport, and clearly, it's a long story, but make it short for us. Why did you kind of transition and jump over the fence on looking at gaming, e-gaming, as a competitive sport?
I think because we all focus too heavily on the word competitive, as if that's the only end goal, And that's a bit like gamification. People who say gamification is points, badges, leaderboards. No, that's many, many, many other things. And competitive gaming brings a lot of other skills into play. And I think that's the issue. I know John Seeley Brown made a point that he'd rather employ somebody who has a high-level character in World of Warcraft than someone who has a degree. I think there's a lot of... This came through in the chat that there's a lot of other skills being developed when we form teams and we compete and we try to excel at something. And I think that's the point. I would like to pick up on what Mark said, though, and I'd like to say Dana Boy did some research way back looking at MySpace and young people's behaviour. And her research showed that young people learn best, positive norms best, in places where they're with trusted adults. And so young people are going to be competing in these games. Why not have it in school and where they are with trusted adults, teachers, coaches, whatever, not to police them, but, to be there with them, to be their champion, to be their counsellor. And I think that's really important. And Lynn Telfer in the chat mentioned that these kids are already organising their own competitions. And that feral behaviour outside of school could actually be more unchecked. And give us less opportunity to promote sportsmanship and good behaviour and good norms. So, yeah, I'm interested in the positive norms.
Excellent points. Very good. So let's take a moment here to introduce our two other guest hosts of the evening. We are, by the way, everybody, missing Stephen Isaac. He had to go out and pick up his daughter, so I hope you all forgive him. But we are also joined, and we were joined by GeekMomAndSon, who is Carrie and Cooper. Welcome, Carrie and Cooper. Please do us a favor and introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and what kind of attracted you guys to this world of esports in education.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Yay! Yeah. We don't have the headphones on this time, so testing it out. Cooper, do you want to say hi?
Hi.
Hi.
This is Cooper, and I guess, what was it, 3 years ago now that you...
Yeah, I've been playing since I was 6 for Minecraft.
Can you speak louder?
I've been playing Minecraft for 3 years.
There, a little closer.
Yeah.
Very good. And how about yourself, Carrie? What kind of brought you into this environment of esports and thinking about esports and education and how it can impact and positively help your son?
I became geekish later in life, and I see all the early skills in Cooper, and we were not being supported in our local schools with the extra abilities and skills that he had, and just bad luck. We didn't find the right teachers. We tried every year coming back in September. Real struggle learning about alternative ways to educate Cooper, and wow, we just got some real luck with Minecraft coming along, and it's really nurtured and helped him develop early entrepreneur, early digital skills, and Minecraft has really helped us, and we're just starting to dig into MinecraftEdu now.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
And take on a more structured approach.
Awesome. Well, we do have a question from the audience, and I think it's a very valid question. It's from No Clue Kid, and we all know her on Twitter at No Clue. And she asks, I would like to hear the panel address how they think competitive gaming can encourage girls to participate. And I think it's definitely in reference to this idea of esports and competitive gaming in the environment. What do you guys think?
So I started by asking.
Yeah.
I started by asking my students. I said, "What are you ladies even playing?" I mean, statistically, it's pretty even, guys and girls playing video games. But what are you guys playing? And a surprising number are already playing League of Legends, and of course, there's some Minecraft and stuff. These are high school kids. But they are, at least in my experience, they have been open to the idea of joining the League of Legends team as much as the guys. In fact, we're going to have girls out and play the guys.
League of Legends.
How about you, Mark or Bron, or?
So I'll piggyback off of what Mark just said, as well as just touching on what Bron said, and I think it does go back to creating that. Creating that environment of trust and feeling safe and comfortable. So when I started, it happened again this school year when I started teaching with Minecraft. In the beginning, I have my Minecraft enthusiasts, and it's generally the boys who are more outspoken about using Minecraft in the classroom. But as I developed the relationship with the girls, more and more of them start wanting to take that risk and playing the game. And as it, as our classroom community develops and the girls feel more comfortable and safe, they're already playing it at home. They just don't always want to admit it. They already have it, they already have Pocket Edition on their phones or on the tablets. But it's a safety issue, and it's a trust issue, and knowing that they're not going to get teased for playing Minecraft. So we have to establish those relationships. But no, absolutely, it's a phenomenon that I've noticed now the past 2 years where the boys are just they're Minecraft, woo, and then the girls, they take a little time, but they're already playing it. They just need to feel safe and comfortable. So yeah, it goes back to the same issues. Bron,
I'm going to build on what Mark said and say, yes, I think it is a trust issue. I'd like to see many more female teachers leading the charge for competitive gaming as role models for their students. I think that's an important thing. And I think that's possibly the reason that starting in elementary or primary school, with Minecraft might be the perfect place, because we already know as many girls as boys play Minecraft.
Yes.
Interestingly, though, if I ask a room full of kids who plays Minecraft and considers themselves very expert at it, almost every boy, whether they've only played once, will put their hand up, and very few girls will. Yet in the play context, I will discover many girls who are expert at Minecraft. So I think we have to, support girls more, get to the nitty-gritty of what they do play, and help them to be confident in their play, because many of them are playing as much as boys and are as expert as boys, but don't put themselves forward. And I think, that's an issue for competitive gaming, that, that we might be missing some talent and some kids who would really excel if we don't dig a little deeper. But I'd like to see more female teachers, more role models, more people who are female leading the charge. And I've just been at PAX in Melbourne, and in the competitive gaming scene there, and there was some League of Legends finals and other things, it was still very male-oriented. So I think starting younger with a better gender balance is a great way to go. And I think Cooper has a lot to answer on this question too. Cooper, so tell us what you think.
What? Pardon? And how many girls do you see on Mineplex? Are there lots of girls? More girls than when you started a year ago?
Most games I play, I mostly just see boys.
You see some girls? Not many girls?
No.
Maybe we should start a server for girls only.
No.
Actually,
Mommy could do that one.
that kind of
Maybe
goes to one of the challenges that I think I've seen over the course of my career in gaming, is there's this stigma at the competitive level of you've got professional soccer and you've got all these very professional leagues. We don't see very many female professional leagues out there. And I think it really drives to this stigma that we allow. And I love the point that Bron made, is we need more women leading the charge. We need more inclusive opportunities for girls to really feel comfortable. I see esports and video games as being a great equalizer, because especially something like Minecraft, when you get in there, you all look the same. There's no gender definitions that come, standard with it, as you would if you see a girl who's, 5'2" out on the football field and a whole bunch of huge guys. You automatically assume this is a cheerleader. But in the world of esports, I think we can get rid of those stigmas a lot easier, and we can start to find and celebrate. I like this point that was made, is how are those results celebrated? We talked about it today in the chat. We need to celebrate girls being involved in these esports. And you will find, as Bron was mentioning, there are some seriously high-level professional gamer girls out there that would destroy me. And I used to be a competitive professional gamer. Like, it's mind-blowing. And as long as we support them, I think we'll get closer to that. Were you going to say something, Carrie?
No, I was just excited that the emphasis is there to think about it. Cooper keeps me reaching there. Don't do that, hun.
I won't.
If I had had that support, I guess that's why I'm overzealous here in helping Cooper, because if I had had that support early on, wow, I can see Cooper already. He's excelling in Photoshop. He has the same design eye. I think that we inherit certain skills, and earlier we can get them. Earlier, we as parents or teachers can recognize the special skills that they have and support them. Wow, the future is so gold for them.
Excellent. Well, we're getting a little bit off of the main questions, but I like this. I like the conversations that we're having, because they're coming from the audience. So if there are other questions coming from the audience, by all means, feel free to ask them. But there is one question in particular that I think I really, really wanted to see answered in a little bit more depth. And that was question number 5. How do we honor kids' developed expertise to support a competitive environment where all gamer types are involved? And this really relates to exactly what we're talking about, making it inclusive for girls, making it inclusive for those who are super highly competitive, who want to be the top of the top, and then those young gamers or those other gamers who want a more casual gaming experience, but still to be involved and included in that esports competitive environment. So I'd like to hear from Bron, because this was a question that really came up from you. I'd like to hear a little bit deeper into your thoughts on this question.
Well, I think, and I defer to Cooper in a minute on this because he's really what we're talking about. But I think initially schools have to recognize that you probably want to have a Minecraft club, and when kids feel ready to step up into the competitive league of the club, then that's the time for them. But you want to still have that separate club, not just immerse straight into gaming as a competitive sport, because there'll be plenty of kids who haven't discovered their inner geek because they haven't been exposed to Minecraft or haven't played it yet, and won't discover, they have a lot of skill there and a place to excel. I worked for a long period with a game called Quest Atlantis, and we discovered a lot of kids who didn't garner success in other aspects of their schooling, actually in a game club found great success and became mentors and leaders. And I think, that's something kids can discover by being immersed. But we also have kids like Cooper who've developed immense skill outside of school. And in Massively Minecraft, we saw this, kids would say, so one of the other kids brings a football trophy to school. Well, everyone knows what that is and recognizes that as a thing to be honored. But when I'm, doing something superb in a game, I tell my teacher or the kids at school, they don't understand what that is. And so I think providing a place for kids to celebrate their achievements and to actually achieve on behalf of their game club at school is really where we should be looking. We say we have a place for all the other sports, for girls' sport, boys' sports, athletics, whatever else. Why not this intellectual sport? And to be a strategic sport that we need to think about. But I think we need to make sure that we have roles for those kids who've come with high-level expertise already and not dumb it down to everyone at the same level. So I'm going to hand over to Cooper because I think he embodies what we're talking about. He's a child who has expertise way beyond anything his school could prepare him for.
Cooper's actually, we've come up with an idea, Cooper's coaching. We're meeting Minecraft fans in our local community. We started a little Cooper's Creepers, we call it, his little Minecraft store. We were making the little perler beads magnets.
We have to start making our own stuff.
Yeah, we got to start doing that too. And so what we do is we meet at our local Tim Hortons. We have an evening. We used to do it at Chuck E. Cheese.
I like going to Maple Ridge.
Yeah, on
fun.
Tuesday nights from 6 to 7, the parents stop by, pick up what they ordered, and then we have a little section where they bring their laptops and the kids all meet. That's the only support we've found in our local community for the Minecraft kids to get together. We just wish we had a Microsoft store that was closer, and that we went to some coding classes in the summer. And wouldn't that be a spectacular place for the kids to go after school and weekends if they had a little Minecraft area? Parents could learn the new Windows 10. There's just nowhere in the neighborhood that we can learn about Minecraft. So that's something we've started to do on our own to meet other local families.
That's good. So Cooper, I got a question directly for you, Cooper. So when you are working with these other young children, these other kids who are around your age and helping them, how does that make you feel? How does that empower you?
I don't really get this. I mostly the servers I play, I don't see many kids that I like the older kids because they're more understanding, and I don't know, I just like.
But you like to help young kids too, don't you?
Sometimes, yeah.
He loves to see them learn.
Yeah.
But what he's trying to say, I think, is that he's been hanging out with the older kids because they are
more understanding,
encouraging him, not slowing him down. But when he meets them in person, when we go out to meet the families that are buying the different Minecraft things, he loves to help the younger ones when he meets them in person. But online, he struggles with that.
Right.
And that's a funny thing about virtual world games is they do engender a spirit of generosity. You know, the first thing you see when kids conquer or learn to do something very challenging, not just in Minecraft, but in other games that came before it, they want to teach somebody else how to do it. They want to make a YouTube video on how to, blog about how to do it. So I think there really is strong leadership and mentoring and coaching roles for those kids with acquired expertise outside school.
And Bron, I have a follow-up question for you. So you had mentioned, everyone recognizes the football trophy, very physical thing, very tangible. Do you think that esports, there should be something similar? There should be, we have varsity letters. Should there be different levels of badges, trophy, stuff like that, like very physical? Do you think it should be more digital? What are your thoughts on that? Or Mark, I'd love to hear from both of you.
What kind of prizes would they like to get?
I don't know.
I don't see why not. I think it would be, if there's something tangible to show and bring to school and explain. Now, if it was Minecraft, unless kids have been living under a rock, I think today kids would understand what that might mean, because the game is so universally accepted. We've seen Stephen Reed teaching teachers in Turkey how to use Minecraft in their teaching.
Turkey is over.
It's globally accepted in elementary and primary schools. So
Turkey,
the ground is shifting, but I do think we should have accolades and rewards. Why not?
I think the extrinsic motivation value of a game is almost as, if not as important as the intrinsic motivation value. When we see this in professional sports and professional gaming all the time, if there's no trophy involved, yes, you're still getting some intrinsic value out of playing the game, but I think those trophies, those accolades, those appreciations, the ability to stand above your peers and be at the pinnacle of your career or of your success, I think that is vitally important. So going to that question, Mark, I guess I would want to follow up with and ask of how do we make sure that that's in our esports environments? And maybe we'll go over to Mark Garlick Suter to kind of think about this question.
Well,
I'm sure you've thought about it.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the trophy itself. I don't think it's the color of the trophy or the goal or the size of the trophy. I think it's, do the other students, when they see that trophy, what do they recognize that as? So if it's a football or American football, they recognize, okay, you competed against X number of people and you are the best out of many. But when you do it in esports, what are you the best out of your siblings, or is it the best out of a huge number of people? And so that's not really already set in stone. It's not a standard. It's not the NFL, the minors, the majors, that kind of thing. So my students being definitely in the minor leagues, if that, if we win a trophy, what does that mean? It doesn't have a meaning yet. And so that kind of needs to be expressed to their peers for them to recognize that the same way they would recognize a football trophy.
So as you move from beyond club into competitive sport, do you see a hierarchy developing in there, like a varsity level, a junior varsity, something like that?
I do, yeah. I don't think the size is there yet to make that meaningful yet. At least not with what I've seen so far. But yes, short answer.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, I would agree with that. I think, as things start to progress with esports and education, we really do have to make it on par with, or as on par as we can in a high school level, a grade school level with the other sports. Not necessarily the team jackets, I think those have done,
got my letters out, yeah.
You get the letter on the jacket and whatnot.
That's right.
But, again,
Chains.
so that...
Badges on the jacket.
Badges.
Of course.
But one of the biggest things, and this goes back to the stigma that we were talking about at the beginning of the conversation in esports and electronic gamings, is people don't necessarily recognize the skill that's involved in it. The amount of dedication, the amount of hard work that has to go in order to reach a certain level of this competitive environment. So I think that might be one of the areas that has to be kind of explained or expanded on with it?
I feel like with the emergence of services like Twitch, I think it is being recognized by the people that are actually playing it. It really only needs explained to us, or like above the age level that is really the professionals, like my age or older, maybe. I don't know. But yeah,
those in the school who don't necessarily game.
the same could be said for the people that don't play soccer. They're like, "Oh, good for you! You got a trophy."
Okay,
right.
I think it's an equal.
Right. Or you see the professional players on TV and you say, "Oh, that looks easy. Anybody can do it." And then when you get into it, you're like, "Wow, this is really hard."
Right. So the people that play it, they would get it. They'd be like, "That guy's got skills. That girl knows how to play."
That's true.
And I think visibility, you talk about the visibility of esports growing and stuff. The first mover, the first groups and organizations that start doing this in education, it's going to need to have that gender balance, because that first impression is going to be a lasting one.
That is such a good point.
That is such a good point, because we have to do this right. We have to start as we mean to go on, and we have to overcome a lot of people's conception of a high-level gamer being someone in the basement, in the dark, who isn't sociable and isn't, living in the real world. And I think, and that it's all boys. And I think the point No Clue made about starting with a great gender balance is vitally important, starting with great norms and starting with great role models. Is vitally important.
I still have a problem when somebody says they envision a female, because that's just kind of what you grew up with or were taught with. But then you learn later, it's like, oh, World War II, most males were gone, what was left, So when you see a male nurse, it's still like, oh, well, yeah, of course there would be. Why wouldn't there be? That sticks.
Right.
Have you guys seen the creeper hoodies, the green creeper hoodies? Do a lot of your students wear them? The zip-up face? Because that's like, I like more for them.
Not a lot.
I've seen plenty of kids with them, yeah.
Yeah. So wouldn't that be a nice reward for winning, if they don't have them in their country?
Yeah.
Target's just with Jinx. It's a mushroom jacket. Red.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of amazing reward options and reward ideas that we can come up with to provide that extrinsic motivation. But I think what Bron and Mark are also saying is that, or at least Mark was saying, is it's not really just about the tangible trophy. As long as the respect is there, as long as the peers understand that they have
what it symbolizes, what it represents.
Yeah, and I think there's room. Like, kids love to step up. Often, stepping into leadership or World Edit Rights or something like that, being a moderator, it is a reward. Kids love that they can level up to become a leader. And I think when we're thinking about Minecraft as a competitive game, you've got lots of different options. The kid who leads the team for parkour might be somebody different to the kid who leads in a build, or the kid who leads in a PvP experience. So, there's different roles there to be had, and different ways to form a team and allow kids to step into the center and take up leadership. And I think that's something, needs to be fairly dynamic.
I have one last final little question. I know you're going to wrap up, but sorry, I keep getting the echo from somebody. It's really distracting. My ADD kicks in. When we talk about the gamer types and how you integrate those different types, does it really have to be the game choice itself has to cater to those, or is it the roles within that esports team that they could fill those different niches?
So,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I do believe, and actually Bron and I had a quick little conversation about this over on Twitter, that these Bartle's theories of gamer psychology were really defined from the basis of an MMORPG, so a massive multiplayer online role-playing game, where it's a very different environment to the typical games that are out there or to other games that are out there. But I think as long as we recognize that, gamers will have different motivations for playing a game, different motivations for being involved in a game. And I think Bron brought it up very, very well in thinking about these strengths, probably articulated it much more clearly than I could, which is you're going to have your builders. You're going to have your people who absolutely enjoy building. You're going to have your people, and this is in Minecraft specifically, who enjoy the PvP aspect, those who enjoy the exploration aspect, or creating of redstone mechanics and redstone engineering contraptions. So you've got all of those, and as long as you choose games that really facilitate some of those, or as many of those as you can, then you can get all of the people into them. But the way I see it is, with esports, we don't have to limit ourselves to one specific game.
Right.
You can bring in multiple different games and allow people to kind of really get their footing on the game of their choice. And I think as long as we start to open up the environment around it and the discussion around it, we'll have success.
Yeah, I guess there's just a few titles that dominate the scene, and then I start seeing those, well, there's the gamer types, and that feels like there's kind of a clash there. It's like, well, where's the explorer fit in League of Legends?
Yeah, I agree. Bron, what are your thoughts?
I agree. I think if we're talking young kids and we're talking elementary, then different games are great. These are kids who haven't yet found their niche, and exposing them to different games and different modes of play is really important, and they will find their space. Where's the explorer in League of Legends? I don't actually know. Maybe that's a phase of your expertise more than a role that you play. Maybe they were all explorers at some stage, and I don't think Bartle ever saw those as cut and dried, that people who were a killer in one game may not necessarily play the killer role in another game.
Right.
A number of different people have looked at rephrasing those. Like the killer role is not as doesn't fit so well for a lot of other people. So I'm wary of applying Bartle's roles to every single kind of game, because they weren't ever developed across all games. Yeah. But I do think they make us realize that people have different motivations for play, and they develop different skill sets because of those motivations.
I would be an explorer in Minecraft, but in League of Legends, I would be the healer, the support role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so explorer, and I've looked at this. I've actually looked at this quite in depth when I was reading into this Bartle's theories of gamer psychology, and this killer idea. It spans, and it can span, and I think all of these ideas, the explorer, the socializer, the achiever, all of these ideas really have to be thought of with a grain of salt. I like the way Bron put it. The killer it's not a bad word. The killer can indicate a sense of looking for power, wanting that level of control, perhaps a leadership position, someone who is really looking to control the environment, manipulate the environment around them to provide themselves with that motivational feeling of power. So there's multiple ways to look at it, but it's exactly that. Is we do have to recognize that many gamers like different types of games and different styles of games. And if we hamstring them into one particular title, League of Legends or Minecraft alone, then we're going to be doing them an injustice, and certainly the esports movement an injustice.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I know that Bron has to leave really quickly. Mark Grundell, let's get some thoughts from you, and if you can tie us off.
Sure. I mean, as I listen to this conversation, I feel like it would be talking about traditional sports. Like we only have soccer at our school. There's only one choice. But that's not how it is. It's just accepted that we're going to have multiple styles of sports. I see the same in games, right? We're going to have multiple styles of games for different types of players. We're going to have swimming. We're going to have lacrosse and baseball. We're going to have those choices for our gamers as well. And then I think within each game, just like within each sport, there are the roles that define each player. If you're a swimmer, you might you might prefer the breaststroke over the backstroke, or you might prefer the IM. And that's the difference with like your builders and your explorers. You know, each person has their own niche. I mean, that's how I see it, at least. And that's the analogy I would use between esports and sports. Yeah, that's, you know, that's the theory I'm developing as I listen to this conversation.
I spell better than my mom. I am proud of myself.
You should be. All right.
I'm always rushing.
I don't know.
We're going to let everybody say their goodbyes, and I want to thank everybody for all of their contributions, both our fantastic hosts of the evening's chat, but as well those who are out there on the actual video talking to us and posting questions, like Ben Kelly and Lynn Telfer and No Clue and James. So thank you guys all for being so engaged and participating in this.
Thank you.
I want to give you guys a chance to make some final comments and say your final pieces. So Mark Suter, let's start with you, and then we'll jump over to Carrie, and then we'll jump over to Bron, and then Mark and I will say goodbye.
All right. Mine's really short. All I want to say is it all starts with trust, and as soon as that happens, while that happens, as long as that happens, all of those other things are possible. The growth, the exposure to the different roles, the gender equality, all of those things I feel like are all dependent on the trust and that relationship between the adult, the teacher, and the students.
Excellent.
Yes.
Carrie and Cooper.
Sorry for Cooper. Sorry for Cooper scratching his head. We washed his hair just before, and I must have used a new shampoo. I just wanted to mention, too, that was another thing I was reading and researching and learned a lot about. There's two different kinds of kids. To describe this.
As you can see, I can't
There's
help
dandelion kids. You can put them anywhere, they'll blossom and dig roots. Then there's the orchid kids that are sensitive to labels, sensitive to smell, sensitive. And they're just more observant, and that's what we see in Cooper. It doesn't necessarily mean that they need.
I'm allergic to Minecraft.
So that's what I recognized early on in Cooper. He's quick, he's smart, but his teacher said he's the most disruptive child she taught in 30 years. And that just stayed with us. And Cooper's comedic, he's funny, and to some teachers that maybe are stressed, the point that they don't have they don't have the extra support. The funding is low. But Minecraft is really harnessing a lot of these kids that have the special skills and can put them to good use. So Cooper, what would you like to say? Other than have an itchy head.
I'm allergic.
What do you love about Minecraft? Tell them about your new server that you're building.
I have a lot of stuff on it.
Awesome.
Tell them what you built quickly.
We built a spawn, and we're working on plugins. And yeah, we're
tell them all your friends around the world.
Beta, yeah. I have one that's in Japan. We're really close friends. We even have ourselves on the friend list because played on it, but he ran into a problem with his 3DS or something, so we can't. But we've been playing for like a couple of months. I think it was June. Yeah, it was like
brilliant.
Excellent.
Awesome.
And this is somebody from across the world.
Yes.
That's so cool.
I monitor everything he does. And I think the best thing I've done ever, not that I don't trust him, but to keep the password so he's not jumping from server to server.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Ron, final thoughts from you.
I think I'm in a kind of let's just do it attitude at the moment, but that with a caveat that we have to do this well. And to build on what Mark said, it's about trust, it's about role models, it's about equity, it's about building positive norms. There's a lot to lose if we do this badly. So competitive gaming with young kids has to be done in a way that's beneficial to them, and serves kids that I think that are underserved in schools today. So, yeah.
Yes.
I think all education really needs to start with that trust and that safe environment. And whatever it is we're trying to teach, kids are not going to learn if they don't feel safe and they don't feel like they have adults that they can trust within a building. So yeah, I think it all begins with trust and relationships. And if we're not building those, then our kids are not going to learn, regardless of whatever it is we're teaching them. So I love that point, and I want to iterate that again. So thank you, Bron. Are we signing off here, Garrett?
I think we are. The only last and final point that I want to make is I think, these are the educators and the parents that we're looking at today: Bron, Stephen, Cooper, Carrie, Mark, myself, and many others around Twitter who are getting it. I'll just make one additional comment on that trust thing is you guys are proving that you are meeting kids where they are.
Yes.
And that's part of that trust discussion. So by looking into the games that they're playing and getting into the competition sides that they're interested in, this is starting to generate that trust, and doing this in an authentic way. That's what it takes to bring that credibility into your classroom and to have kids, in my opinion, see us as not educators, but to see us as trusted peers, or not peers,
facilitators,
but trusted adults, trusted facilitators. That's what I meant.
Yes.
So I want to thank you guys all for joining us on the Minecraft.
Thank you so much.
It's great fun.
Thank you for everything you do for us.
Awesome. Awesome chat. Thank you guys for joining us. I mean, this has been extremely educational for me.
And bring everybody up to speed. Next week, we are going to be joined by, I believe it is Lucas Gillespie.
Yes.
And we're going to be talking about structured versus unstructured learning in Minecraft. And this is going to be a very fantastic conversation, so please don't miss out. I want to thank everybody out there who has joined us for this. Please do not miss next week's Twitter chat at 8 p.m. on Tuesday using the hashtag MinecraftEdu. Thank you and good evening, everybody. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks.
Good night.
Thanks, Garrett. You're amazing.